Welcome back to another UNC football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our always growing YouTube channel that is called Tar Heel Illustrated, I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and joining me is our director of football recruiting, Miss Deana King. And Deana, you predicted a wave of commitments for North Carolina football here in June, leading into July and into July. And that is, they've already gotten a few this month. Another one today as four-star cornerback Dale Miller, who is from Edmond, Oklahoma. He will attend Deer Creek High School. You'll take us through a little bit of his recent travels. 5'11", 173 pounds, chose Carolina over Auburn, Florida State, Louisville, Mississippi State, and Tennessee, among many others. Took an official this weekend. It ended like a couple hours ago, basically. And he has announced that he will play for Mack Brown, Dre Bly, and the Tar Heels. So your thoughts on Dale Miller popping for Carolina?
Pretty huge news. I mean, the Tar Heels, they picked up their second cornerback commitment. So that's really good news for Coach Bly and Coach Warren, who's also DB coach and a co-defensive coordinator. Getting a talented kid like Dale Miller to commit just basically right after official visit means that things are heating up for the Tar Heels.
Well, it's been percolating for a while, and they had 17 official visits this weekend, him obviously being one of them, and they may well have a few other kids that commit out of this group as well. He wasn't as much on my radar anyway. You and I haven't talked as much about him as we have some of the other kids. So based on the intel you've been able to gather today, I know you've talked to him some, what kind of pushed things over the top for him in Carolina?
Like you mentioned, I had kind of put out a mock list that I thought, and with him being in Oklahoma, I really didn't know if a distance would be a factor, but in talking to him today, I mean, when he got there, it was everything that he wanted. He fell in love with the atmosphere of being around the coaches and the players, and that's a common theme when you talk to a kid that's committed to Carolina, the family atmosphere. And another huge advantage was, like you mentioned, Coach Bly. Dale basically said that he knows that Coach Bly can get him to the next level because he's lived the dream that all these kids are pursuing. He's did that and done that, so he knows what it takes to get to the next level, and that resonated huge for Dale Miller.
Dre uses that. We talked to him last week about some of these things, and all the parents that are the kids he's recruiting, they all know, all the dads know him. Some of the moms know him. They've watched him play in college, watched him play for a long time in the NFL, got a Super Bowl ring, All-American, sell a lot of records. He uses that, and clearly that was something that was big in this recruitment. What's the path? He's going to attend Deer Creek High School in Edmond, Oklahoma, but he spent the spring semester, correct me if I'm wrong, IMG, and then last year he was at famed Hoover High School in Alabama in the Birmingham area, and actually lost to Connor Harrell in the state playoffs there. So kind of take us through his track and as best you can right now. I know you're still piecing some stuff together as well.
Yeah, he was a key member on that Hoover team. Finished 12-1. He had like 30 tackles and 3 interceptions his junior year, and helped them go to the state semifinals, where they lost to current freshman quarterback Connor Harrell in a very good Thompson team. So, I mean, I consider him an Alabama kid of anything. He's not played in Oklahoma yet, so it's that southern kind of footprint that Coach Brown has talked about. And so he left, basically, and started at IMG. Never played for IMG, so he's back in Oklahoma. Don't really know a lot of details about that, but all I know is he flew eastward and fell in love with Chapel Hill, and he's the next Tar Heel to commit to Coach Brown.
One of the things that we did our recruiting show about a month ago, we talked about recruiting footprint, which is Washington, D.C. area down to Atlanta, but they do go outside it for certain kids. They have hit Alabama pretty hard, harder than the previous. You know, Brian Anderson's from Alabama, and previous staff brought him in, but this staff has hit Alabama pretty hard, and it appeared and they were close to getting another kid for a while at one point from Alabama, big time kid. That ended up kind of changing course a little bit, but getting kids from outside the footprint. I know you're a big believer in the footprint. I know that Mack, we talked to him about that last week as well. Big believer in the footprint, right? But I think it's big also when you're trying to build a national brand, a national name, which Carolina's doing, that they can get some 4-star kids from other parts of the country. It gives the appearance that there is a lot of appeal to Carolina, not just regionally, but as you go further out, further away from Chapel Hill.
Well, with him being in Alabama, and you have Gene Chizik, who won a national championship at Auburn and has a statue out there at Auburn. I mean, it's kind of a unique situation that UNC has, where they can, to these deep South kids in the Alabamas and the Mississippis and the Florida, they can bring out Coach Chizik, because a lot of kids remember his term at Auburn with Cam Newton and bringing a national championship there. And let's not forget Coach Chizik. He's one of the best speakers. He is so soft spoken. But I imagine that could change on the football field. But, in our media sections that we have with him, he's just a really nice and great speaker.
He's a soft-spoken but firm when he speaks. And what's interesting is any kid, by the way, we're sidebarring a little bit here talking about Chizik, but any kid that visits Auburn, because they're a defensive player and they're being recruited also by North Carolina, when they pull up to Jordan-Hare Stadium, they're going to see a massive banner of Gene Chizik on the stadium. I saw it when I was coming back from New Orleans at the Final Four and took a picture of it. And we know that there was a young man who was there a couple of weeks ago. First thing he saw when he went to the stadium was like, hey, that guy's the defensive coordinator at my in-state school. So that's clearly something that Carolina has to sell. So you've got the Dre Bly factor, you've got the Mack Brown factor, and now you've got the Gene Chizik factor. So
I think this is huge because, like I said, it's fans recruiting people that love rankings. They'll love it because he's a 4-star kid. So that makes 2 4-star kids in the secondary, which Carolina's going to need to stock that secondary up for Coach Bly and Coach Warren.
Forgive us for not having the video decorated properly. Jacob is unable to dive on it right now, and I just got in from out of town like 25 minutes ago. So we're
because
it always happens. Yeah, it always happens. So we're just kind of scrambling here for a few minutes to get this thing up before he actually announces his commitments, which he has now done. Dale Miller, 4-star cornerback from Alabama and Oklahoma. 5'11", 173 pounds. He is the latest member of the class of 2023 to commit to the Tar Heels, and there's going to be more coming. So stay with us here at TarHeelIllustrated.com and on our channel here, YouTube, Tar Heel Illustrated. Miss King is going to have quite a few more of these podcasts to do here in the next few weeks, so keep checking us out. Thanks for stopping by.